Let's be clear, Sigma women are not impressed by surface-level performance. They've built their own empires. They don't need yours to be dazzled. Most men rely on the same tired, predictable tactics to try and win her over. Things that work on the average crowd just bounce right off the Sigma female's filter. If you've ever wondered why your usual moves fall flat, stick around. We're exposing the 9 biggest, most common failures men attempt when trying to impress the woman who already has everything she needs. Hey, high-value woman, you know the drill. The moment a man recognizes your self-sufficiency, his insecurity kicks in. He feels compelled to prove his worth, usually by resorting to clichés. You see right through it. Your radar for inauthenticity is legendary. This video is your field guide to the predictable BS. It confirms that your unimpressed gaze is perfectly justified. Look, these attempts fail because they mistake independence for need. They think you're looking for a provider or a showman when you're actually vetting for a peer and a partner in peace. They rely on external validation to define their value. You rely on internal integrity. These 9 common fails are just noise to you. Let's decode what they're trying to sell and why you instantly reject the sale. 1. The financial flex. This is the most tired, transparent attempt at establishing high value, and it instantly falls flat with a Sigma female. He talks non-stop about his salary, his investments, or the price of his car. The constant references to financial metrics are meant to signal dominance and security, relying on the ancient assumption that a woman is looking for a provider to secure her future. The man is essentially attempting to buy your interest, treating the interaction like a transaction where his wealth is the currency. You see it for what it is, a desperate attempt to compensate for a lack of genuine charisma or emotional depth. The Sigma female is keenly aware that financial success, while useful, is a poor substitute for emotional intelligence, integrity, or intellectual curiosity. A man who leans solely on his wallet to impress is communicating that he lacks confidence in his core self. He doesn't trust that his personality, his humor, or his strategic mind are enough to hold your attention. Therefore, he substitutes character with capital. This is a massive failure of self-awareness. You pay your own bills. Thanks. This simple fact renders his financial flexing utterly irrelevant. Because you are self-sufficient, his wealth is neither a necessity nor a selling point. It's just a data point, and often a negative one, indicating a high reliance on external validation. When he brags about the price of his watch, you aren't impressed by the leather strap. You are assessing the insecurity that necessitated the purchase and the subsequent announcement. You recognize that bragging is a mask. It covers the fear that if the money were gone, he would have nothing compelling left to offer. The Sigma female, who built her own stability and security in solitude, values the process and the effort, not just the final number. A man who constantly talks about money is often emotionally impoverished. He has invested all his energy into external metrics, leaving his internal world undeveloped and fragile. This lack of depth is quickly noted. You are looking for a partner who offers intellectual challenge and shared emotional growth, not a financial advisor. His attempts to impress with a financial flex only serve to highlight his spiritual and conversational bankruptcy. This test is failed immediately because the man misunderstands your motivations. He thinks you want security, you already have it. He thinks you want comfort, you created your own. What you actually seek is respect, intellectual parity, and authenticity. His bragging proves he offers none of these. His focus on material wealth immediately filters him out as someone who operates on a different, more superficial frequency. The flex confirms his insecurity, and for the Sigma female, insecurity is the ultimate deal-breaker. 2. Name-dropping high-status contacts. This is another classic, deeply predictable blunder that fails the Sigma female's authenticity test immediately. He constantly mentions famous people, powerful CEOs, or exclusive clubs he belongs to. This behavior is designed to construct an illusion of importance, hoping to elevate his own perceived value by association. He is trying to impress you not with who he is, but with who he claims to know. This tactic is based on the assumption that you are impressed by external validation and social hierarchy, which is fundamentally untrue for a woman whose worth is entirely self-generated. You recognize this as a weak attempt to borrow status. The Sigma female understands that true power is inherent, not delegated. A man who relies on the achievements or titles of others to define his own worth reveals a deep insecurity regarding his personal accomplishments. He is trying to proxy validate his existence. You value competence, not who he knows. You are far more interested in his strategic thinking, his problem-solving skills, and his ability to execute his own vision than you are in his fleeting proximity to success. Knowing a CEO doesn't mean you can run a company. Being friends with an athlete doesn't mean you're disciplined. This distinction is immediately clear to you. The constant name-dropping is just noise. It signals that he lacks the confidence to stand alone on his own merits. He needs the social scaffolding of prestigious contacts to feel significant, which is utterly incompatible with your self-sufficient lifestyle. A man of genuine high value doesn't need to constantly remind you of his associations. His competence and character speak for themselves. The silence of his own achievements is what he tries to cover with the loudness of others' names. Furthermore, this behavior suggests he is overly preoccupied with external social metrics. He is playing the public game of status, while you are operating in the quiet, focused space of real-world results. He thinks that being seen at an exclusive club is a sign of achievement. You see it as a waste of time that could be spent on deep work. His priorities are fundamentally misaligned with yours. The Sigma female is vetting for the man who is building his own legacy, not riding on the coattails of others. The constant stream of name drops confirms that his focus is outward, seeking applause rather than inward, seeking true self-mastery. This test is failed because the attempt to impress with borrowed status only highlights his own internal deficit. His need to reference external sources of power is the clearest proof that he does not possess the inherent power the Sigma female seeks in a partner. She is looking for an equal who defines himself autonomously, not a social climber obsessed with proximity to fame. His reliance on the reputation of others confirms his own lack of independent substance. 3. The busy guy performance. This is a frequently attempted tactic designed to create artificial scarcity and imply high demand, but it instantly reads as manufactured insecurity to the Sigma female. He's intentionally late, constantly on his phone, or stresses how slammed his calendar is. This performance is an attempt to signal to you, I am so important and in demand that my time is scarce, and you should be grateful for the small window I give you. He thinks manufactured scarcity equals importance. This is a profound miscalculation. The Sigma female views this behavior not as a sign of importance, but as evidence of poor time management, a lack of prioritization, and a deep reliance on external busyness to validate his existence. Being genuinely busy is a fact of life for high achievers, but performing busyness is a choice rooted in ego. When he arrives late without a genuine, serious reason and offers a vague excuse about back-to-back meetings, you see a lack of basic respect for your schedule, which is sacred. Punctuality is a fundamental sign of respect for another person's time, and the Sigma female demands this standard, especially given her own disciplined schedule. The constant reliance on his phone, answering non-critical texts or calls during your conversation, further confirms his lack of respect and his inability to be present. It signals that he prioritizes the perceived demands of the external world over the connection right in front of him. You see it as poor time management and a lack of respect. The truly high-value individual is disciplined. They know how to delegate, manage their calendar efficiently, and, crucially, when they commit to a person, they commit fully to the moment. They are present. The man who is constantly slammed is often disorganized, inefficient, or worse, terrified of stillness. He needs the constant noise of his demanding schedule to avoid self-reflection or confronting his own lack of depth. The Sigma female, who cherishes solitude and focused attention, is instantly repelled by this chaotic energy. She understands that this manufactured urgency will inevitably spill over into the relationship, creating unnecessary drama and friction where she demands calm and intentionality. The man who passes this test is the one who arrives precisely on time, silences his phone, and gives you his undivided, focused attention. His actions communicate, "My life is busy, but I made you a priority, and this time is protected." The busy guy performance, conversely, screams, "I am insecure about my true value, so I need this constant show of demand to prove I am worth your time." The Sigma female's filter works ruthlessly here. She is vetting for a strategic partner, not a frantic project manager. His inability to manage his own time and energy confirms he is not operating on her level of self-control. The noise of his busyness is the sound of his value plummeting. If you're nodding along because you recognize these predictable tactics, give this video a like right now. Let's show them the Sigma filter is real. Moving on to the next set of failures. 4. Oversharing his past. Victories. The hero narrative. This is the tactic of relying solely on historical achievement to establish current value, a move that is deeply predictable and ineffective on a Sigma female. He tells exaggerated stories about how he won a deal, conquered a rival, or saved the day. These narratives are designed to position himself as the triumphant hero, leveraging past successes to elicit admiration and prove his competence. He assumes that because you value achievement, you will be impressed by a lengthy highlight reel of his past glory. However, you're vetting his current character, not his past performance reviews. The Sigma female understands that past success does not guarantee present competence or, more importantly, future behavior. She is interested in the man he is today, his current thought process, his present challenges, and his demonstrated ability to remain humble and focused. His insistence on dwelling exclusively on old victories signals a potential lack of current momentum, or worse, a reliance on former glory to mask a present insecurity. A truly high-value man lets his present actions and his future plans speak for themselves. He doesn't need to constantly dust off old trophies. You see insecurity masked as heroism. The exaggeration inherent in these hero narratives is often an attempt to inflate his own importance, and the constant need to remind you of his triumphs reveals a dependence on external validation for his self-worth. He is hoping the scale of his past achievement will overshadow his current lack of emotional depth or conversational spontaneity. Furthermore, these stories are often told to demonstrate his dominance and his capability to protect or provide for you. The Sigma female finds this antiquated and irrelevant. She has already proven she is fully capable of navigating her own challenges and securing her own victories. She doesn't need a hero. She needs an equal partner who respects her own power. The repeated hero narrative also shows a distinct lack of curiosity about her. He is so focused on transmitting his own impressive history that he fails to ask meaningful questions about her present life, her work, or her challenges. This one-sided conversation is tedious and confirms he is more interested in being admired than in forging a genuine connection. The Sigma female is vetting for shared intellectual growth, not a lecture series on his CV. His failure to move beyond his past proves he may be stagnant, resting on his laurels rather than continuously evolving. The strategic woman requires a partner who is perpetually in growth mode, not one who peaked 5 years ago. This test is failed because the focus is entirely backward-looking and self-serving, missing the mark entirely with a woman who is ruthlessly forward-focused. She assesses his character by his present respect for her time and his current intellectual output, not by the exaggerated sound of his old war stories. 5. Complaining about ex-girlfriends. This is a deeply toxic and self-sabotaging tactic designed to elicit sympathy and paint himself as the misunderstood victim, but it instantly triggers the Sigma female's high-value filter. He spends significant time blaming his exes for all his relationship problems. He assumes that by detailing the perceived wrongs committed against him, how he was supposedly cheated on, misunderstood, or unfairly treated, He will appear vulnerable and gain your trust. He thinks this makes him vulnerable or justifies his issues. The reality is that the Sigma female sees a massive red flag for emotional immaturity and a failure to take accountability. A man who constantly casts himself as the victim of every past relationship is advertising his inability to self-reflect. He avoids the mature process of analyzing his own contribution to the relationship's failure. The Sigma female understands that in complex relational dynamics, blame is almost never unilateral. His absolute refusal to accept any responsibility for the outcome, even 10%, signals a fixed mindset that is incapable of growth. This reveals a fundamental character flaw, emotional defensiveness. She knows that a man who cannot take ownership of his past mistakes will never be able to handle constructive criticism in the future. Any issue within your partnership will inevitably become your fault. Furthermore, the constant complaining about past partners demonstrates a severe lack of discretion and respect. If he is willing to tear down the women he supposedly once loved, he will certainly do the same to you the moment the relationship ends, or even when he feels slighted during the relationship. This lack of respect for privacy and his willingness to engage in character assassination are immediate deal breakers. The high-value woman requires a partner who handles transitions with grace and maintains dignity even after a breakup. His inability to move on and his need to villainize previous partners show that his emotional energy is still deeply entangled in the past, making him unavailable for an emotionally healthy future. He is presenting himself as damaged goods who needs your rescue or validation. The Sigma female, who is self-sufficient and seeks an equal, is not interested in being his therapist or his emotional crutch. She needs a partner who is whole, not someone seeking to unload unresolved emotional baggage onto her. His attempt to gain sympathy by playing the victim ultimately confirms that he lacks the emotional resilience and maturity required for a true autonomous partnership. His failure on this test proves that he brings drama and blame, two things the Sigma female ruthlessly filters out to protect her peace. His words intended to justify his past actually guarantee his removal from your future. 6. Trying to fix your life-work problems. This tactic is a thinly veiled attempt to assert superiority and establish a dynamic of necessary guidance, which is instantly transparent to the autonomous Sigma female. He immediately jumps to unsolicited advice about your career, your routine, or your goals. This often happens when you briefly mention a minor setback or a work challenge. He doesn't wait for you to ask for input. He launches straight into solution mode, often interrupting your explanation to detail his superior strategy or solution. He thinks this proves he's useful or intelligent. He believes that by demonstrating his supposed problem-solving prowess, he will secure his value as your wise mentor or advisor. The truth is, you see it as arrogance and a failure to listen actively. The Sigma female is vetting for a partner who is a great listener and a respectful observer. When she shares a professional challenge, she is usually just venting, processing the situation aloud, or sharing information with her trusted circle. She is not signaling incompetence or soliciting advice. Her internal processes are usually more rigorous and well-researched than anything he can conjure up in a 10-second response. His immediate attempt to fix what is not broken, or to provide solutions for a problem you already have under control, confirms a fundamental lack of respect for your intelligence and competence. He views you as a project that requires his intervention, rather than an equal whose abilities are already formidable. This behavior reveals a need to feel superior. By positioning himself as the one with the answers, he attempts to create an imbalance of power, subtly suggesting that your success is ultimately dependent on his superior wisdom. This is deeply incompatible with the Sigma female's commitment to self-governance. She needs a partner who celebrates her capability, not one who tries to diminish it by playing the hero. The man who passes this test responds with curiosity and support. "That sounds challenging. How are you planning to tackle it?" Or a simple, empathetic, "That sucks, you'll figure it out." He asks about her process, not her solution. His failure to listen actively and his impulse to lecture prove he is more interested in showcasing his own ego than in supporting her autonomy. The Sigma female is not looking for a life coach, she is looking for a partner. His arrogance and automatic assumption of a superior role are immediate deal-breakers, confirming he would constantly try to micromanage her life and stifle her independent decision-making. His attempt to insert himself as the necessary solver only accelerates his removal from her environment. This silent test confirms that he is a source of friction, not peace, proving he lacks the security to partner with a truly high-value woman. Which of these annoying moves have you seen the most this week? Comment with the number of the fail that makes you roll your eyes hardest. Your feedback helps. Now, let's check the last crucial failures. 7. Grand, over-the-top, romantic gestures. Too soon. This tactic is a clumsy attempt to fast-track intimacy and emotional commitment, using external displays of wealth or romance to bypass the necessary process of earning trust. He thinks grand gestures accelerate feelings, giant flower arrangements on the first date, talking about future vacations immediately, or offering extravagant, expensive gifts early on are all part of this performance. He uses excessive external gestures to manufacture intimacy. He hopes the sheer size or cost of the gesture will substitute for genuine emotional connection, shared experience, and deep, time-tested understanding. He believes that by being the most romantic or most generous, he can instantly secure your affection and commitment. The Sigma female sees right through this. You see a lack of emotional control and manipulative haste. This haste signals desperation and often reflects a man who struggles with delayed gratification. He is trying to lock down the relationship before you have had enough time to thoroughly vet his character, his consistency, and his true intentions. The gifts are not expressions of authentic affection. They are investments designed to elicit an immediate emotional return or, worse, create a sense of obligation. The Sigma female knows that true emotional connection builds slowly through consistent small acts of reliability and genuine communication, not through sudden, massive expenditure. Grand gestures too soon are often a form of love bombing, a manipulative tactic used to overwhelm a woman's judgment. By making the external noise so loud, he hopes to distract her from the quiet, crucial work of assessing his stability and integrity. Your quiet nature, which values authenticity above all else, finds this performance exhausting and suspicious. You vet for substance, not spectacle. The man who truly respects your high value understands that the greatest gift he can offer is his consistent, genuine self and his unwavering respect for your time. He knows that a simple, thoughtfully chosen gesture, based on a deep understanding of your preferences, holds infinitely more value than an expensive, generic display. The over-the-top performer reveals a man who is emotionally immature, prioritizing the appearance of a high-value relationship over the reality of one. His lack of patience confirms that he is looking for a quick fix or an ego boost, not a long-term strategic partnership. The Sigma female requires emotional safety, and this manipulative haste makes her feel the exact opposite: rushed, pressured, and guarded. The grand gestures fail because they fundamentally misunderstand the Sigma's core need. You don't need external validation or material proof of his devotion. You need quiet, reliable evidence of his emotional stability. His showiness only confirms his instability, making him an immediate candidate for filtering out. You quietly accept the flowers, note the hastiness, and file the performance under inauthentic. 8. Feigning intellectual depth. This tactic is a transparent attempt to impress the Sigma female by simulating the intellectual rigor she inherently possesses and seeks in a partner. He throws around buzzwords or philosophical concepts he barely understands, trying to sound deep or worldly. This attempt usually occurs during early pivotal conversations, where he realizes that financial flexing or superficial charm is not working on you. He switches tactics, hoping to win you over with intellectual performance. He might misquote Nietzsche, reference complex market theories without understanding the underlying mechanics, or debate abstract political topics using jargon lifted straight from a podcast. He believes that by demonstrating a vast, if shallow, knowledge base, he will position himself as an intellectual equal. The reality is, you spot the shallowness immediately. The Sigma female is characterized by deep, autonomous, critical thinking. You value genuine intellectual curiosity, not memorized talking points. Your mind quickly processes whether his knowledge is the result of true understanding and analysis or mere mimicry. The pseudo-intellectual's language is often imprecise. His examples are frequently tangential, and he crumbles the moment you ask a genuine, follow-up question that requires synthesizing the concept rather than just reciting it. His attempt to sound smart actually achieves the opposite. It highlights his intellectual insecurity and his lack of original thought. He is trying to borrow status from academic or complex fields, much like the man who name-drops famous people. He's terrified of admitting, "I don't know," a phrase that the truly intelligent person uses frequently and without shame. The Sigma female, who is ruthlessly honest about her own competence gaps, values this intellectual humility. The man who passes this test is the one who says, "That's a fascinating concept. Tell me more about how that works," signaling a desire for learning and genuine engagement. The pseudo-intellectual, conversely, is focused purely on transmission, on broadcasting his supposed knowledge rather than engaging in true intellectual exchange. This behavior is deeply offensive to the Sigma female because it is fundamentally dishonest. It shows he would rather lie about his competence than invest the time in genuine study or admit his current limitations. He misunderstands that she is attracted to the process of complex thought, the active mind at work, not just the appearance of intelligence. His feigned depth confirms his preference for performance over substance. This failure is a non-negotiable filter. The Sigma female needs a partner who can challenge her thinking, not one who regurgitates Wikipedia summaries. His reliance on intellectual posturing proves he is not an authentic peer, but merely an actor trying out for a role he cannot sustain. The moment you see his eyes darting, trying to recall the exact definition of a complex term, you know the test is failed. His attempt to impress with borrowed brains confirms his intellectual deficit. If you want more videos that decode high-value dating and protect your peace, hit that subscribe button before you leave. Don't miss out on the next essential filter. 9. The jealous control test. This final insidious tactic is the most critical red flag, designed not just to impress, but to dismantle the Sigma female's external support system and test her susceptibility to emotional manipulation. He subtly criticizes your friends, questions your solo activities, or tries to monopolize your time immediately. This behavior, often disguised as devotion or intense affection, is an attempt to create dependency and exert control over your autonomous life. He thinks this shows devotion. He might say, "Your friend group seems a little dramatic. You should focus on us." Or, "Why do you need to go to that work event alone? I'll keep you company." He uses possessive language and thinly veiled concern to chip away at your boundaries. The Sigma female instantly recognizes this for what it is, a direct threat to your autonomy and a sign of future control issues. The true high-value partner celebrates your established life, your friendships, and your independent interests, viewing them as valuable parts of the whole person he admires. He does not seek to minimize or eliminate your outside world. The man who immediately tries to isolate you is signaling profound insecurity and possessiveness. He fears what he cannot control, and your independence is his greatest threat. By criticizing your social circle, he is attempting to make you rely solely on him for emotional support and companionship, thereby making you easier to manipulate and manage. This tactic is especially dangerous for the Sigma female because her social circle is small and carefully chosen. Any criticism of her friends is a criticism of her judgment and her values. She views her solo activities, the long hours of focused work, the quiet introspection, the independent travel, as essential to her identity. His questioning of these activities confirms that he views her self-sufficiency as a rival to his attention. His attempt to monopolize your time is a clear violation of the sacred shared time principle. He doesn't want parallel play. He wants absorption. The Sigma female's high-value filter immediately catches this possessive energy. She understands that a man who shows jealousy or attempts to isolate her early on will inevitably escalate to full emotional control, attempting to limit her career, dictate her wardrobe, or restrict her communication. This loss of freedom is the ultimate deal-breaker. The man who passes this test expresses support for your solo endeavors. "Have a great time at your work dinner. I'll catch up on my project." Or, "Those friends look like a great support system." His confidence allows him to respect your orbit without needing to be its gravitational center. The man who fails is advertising his need for control, proving he is entirely unsuitable for a partnership with a free and self-governing Sigma female. Her silent observation confirms that his perceived devotion is actually just fear and the blueprint for her future confinement, leading to an immediate, non-negotiable rejection. So here's the most satisfying truth you already know. The power of the Sigma female isn't in her reaction. It's in her absolute lack of reaction. When a man tries one of these fails, the Sigma female doesn't need to argue or explain. She doesn't engage in correction or debate his actions. She simply disengages her energy. This disengagement is the quiet killer. It's the highest form of rejection because it signals that his performance is so irrelevant, it doesn't even warrant an emotional response. She treats his attempts as negligible noise. She realizes his performance is desperate, and desperation is the least attractive trait to a woman who is fundamentally self-sufficient. His frantic need to impress, control, or boast confirms a fundamental internal poverty. This realization provides instant clarity and peace. His failure isn't personal. It's proof that he hasn't done the internal work to match her self-worth. He hasn't achieved the emotional maturity or security required to stand as her peer. He is failing his own internal exam, and the Sigma female is merely observing the predictable result. It's like watching an outdated operating system attempt to run a highly complex program. It crashes every time. You don't need a man to complete you. You already are complete. What you need is a man who understands completeness, a man who is equally whole and secure in his own identity, one who doesn't seek to fill his voids with your attention or admiration. His inability to grasp this concept is the ultimate filter. So we've decoded the 9 ways men fail, from financial flexing to faked intelligence. Every point, the manufactured busyness, the victim mentality, the control disguised as devotion, is a sign of dependency. These predictable attempts bounce off you because you operate from a place of sufficiency, not deficiency. You are built on an internal foundation, making you immune to external pressures and cheap tactics. You need a partner who is secure, authentic, and calm, someone whose presence is restorative, not draining. Their desperation is your confirmation. It confirms you are looking for substance, not just a spectacular show. Their failures validate your standards. Every eye roll you suppress over a name drop is confirmation that your independence is right and your standards are necessary. The woman who knows her worth understands that true love is built on mutual respect and parity, not on one person constantly proving their value. Your discernment is your shield. Your power remains intact. Now it's time to share the intelligence. Tell me, which of these moves is the most common and most annoying fail you see men attempt? Is it the financial flex, point 1, or the insidious control, point 9? Comment below and share your experience. We need to document this predictable noise. And if you want to know what actually works to get your attention, the small, genuine acts that impress a Sigma, the authentic behaviors that signal a man is truly high value, you need to watch my next video, the 5 quiet acts that instantly impress a high-value Sigma woman. This is the key to attracting the right partner. Don't miss the real secrets to lasting partnership. Click the link on your screen now.